everybody. My name is Tasman Silvercat, and I'm here with my best friend and business partner, Lilith, who is going to say hi now.
Hi now.
Smartass.
Of course.
To make our very first video and introduce ourselves and tell all of you who we are. I am 35 years old and have been a pagan most of my life. Lilith, your turn.
Really? You're going to put me on the spot like that? Well, I'm slightly older. I'm slightly older than Taz. However, I have my kids convinced that I'm 24, so we'll just go with that. And my life pretty much revolves around my husband and 6 kids, so pretty much 7 kids.
Oh yeah, that's true. I also have a 14-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old husband. 28-year-old husband.
Personally, I have not been pagan my entire life. I came up Christian and changed my path as a teenager.
So magic has always been there in your life.
Yes.
Yeah, so magic was always there. I mean, I went to a Baptist church and I went down that road, but it wasn't for me, you know.
Same here. It just never meshed well with me.
We are starting a business together that we've dreamt of since, God, I don't want to think of how many years it's been.
It can't be too many years because I'm only 24.
Yeah, and your 17-year-old daughter would attest to that, I'm sure. You started real young.
Oh, and if you people hear, the bitchy cats in the background, I'm sorry. We just recently adopted one, and they're still working out their territorial issues.
We adopted a cat, in February, was it?
I think so.
Yeah, it was in February we got Abby, and my other 2 cats still hate her. So there's some arguments going on throughout the night, and I might randomly yell at them to shut the fuck up.
And my mic picks up everything. I'm going to have to get a better headset, so.
But, yeah. I'm going to have to find my other fucking headset, because seriously, I'm having to use my laptop thing. But anyway, we ramble, and as I stated, we are best friends, so we might go off on little tangents here and there. But to let everybody get to know who we are going to do the 77 Witchy tag questions.
It's actually 72.
Is it?
Okay, you're right. 77, my bad.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Ha! I always know. Neener.
You wish.
I know you.
Okay, so she gets to read the odd questions because she's odd. And I get to read.
And she gets to read the even questions because she likes to get even. Like you used to.
Still do.
But we are both going to be answering the questions, and whoever reads the question will answer first, and then the other one will answer. Why don't we start that? I will start. The first question is, do you use runes as a written language? I personally do not. I used to when I was younger, mostly because I just thought it looked cool. But I've never used them as a written language, no.
I don't use it either. I thought the concept was cool as a teenager, but as an adult, I don't have time for that.
Especially not with 6 kids, and I have 6 kids and a childlike husband, and I have my daughter and my husband, and I'm trying to have another baby, so yeah, no one has time for that.
No. And that doesn't even include all of the fur babies.
Oh, I know. And you have a ton, because you have a, like, proverbial zoo in your house.
Just 3 cats, a dog, a guinea pig, and 2 ferrets.
How many dogs? Oh, in your house. How many dogs do you have then?
4, because there's 3 outdoor dogs. And I've lost count of how many cats are out there. Who knows? They're mostly wild.
Yeah, the cats flop because you feed them. Okay, your turn to read a question, woman.
Okay, do you feel you have natural gifts such as, I can't read that word, hearing...
Premonitions.
Oh, premonitions? No. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Hearing spirits, and if so, do you think this is what led you to this path? Yes, I do. Your turn.
Would you like to go into a little more detail?
And make people think that I'm completely insane?
Honey, you are insane. Now still, that's kind of the point of this.
Well, I've always had energy vamp and empathic abilities. Electrokinetic. I've been seeing and hearing spirits my entire life. I occasionally have the prophetic dream, which would be really nice if it came with a sign, that says prophetic dream, so you know.
Oh, I know. Wouldn't that be nice?
So you can decipher it from the rest, but,
Right. Instead of, gee, was that actually something that's going to happen, or was that just a really fucked up dream?
I've always had, some kind of abilities over fire. Anymore,
Yeah.
that just wigs me out, but we won't go there.
Oh, I'm sure we'll go there at some point in the future, but for right now, no.
Well, get down.
So, I am a healer, and I've been that way my entire life. I have premonitions, but not in the vision sense of premonitions. I've never gotten visions or anything like that. I just have weird shit happening in my life. I tend to know things and not really know how I know them, which freaks a lot of people out. I think I said I was an empath, did I?
I don't
remember.
So.
I am a very strong empath. I also have no memory, so I will forget what I said right after I said it, and it
Yes, you will.
Lilith to no end. And if I slip up and call her Kit, it's because I've known her as Kit my entire life. Well, our entire friendship, which has been forever, and almost the length of the age she says she is.
Yes,
my
we
strongest abilities.
We are not using our real names.
No.
I think it's a really bad idea to put your real name out there on the internet because you never know what you're going to find. And Kit is a nickname from way back when.
And I have been Taz for never, so.
Now I do typically go by Lilith online simply to get away from the past that was linked to Kit. So, but she still calls me Kit, and that's cool with me.
Exactly. So I have issues calling her Lilith because I know her as Kit. So if I call her Kit, just skip over it.
I'm still the same person.
Yeah. So where was I? Yeah. So empath healing and knowing stuff and not a fucking clue how. And I also have dreams that never know if it's just a really fucked up weird dream or if it is prosthetic until shit happens. So I tend to take most dreams as omens. Moving on, what deity do you work with, if any, and why? I am very eclectic, and I tend to work with the god or goddess or lady that suits whatever spell I'm working with. But my patron goddess is Bast, and my patron god is Cernunnos, or Cernunnos, however the heck you want to pronounce that. For me, it's Cernunnos, but that is personally my god and goddess.
Personally, I don't really have patron gods. Maybe Odin and Thor as gods. have tried to work with Bass in the past, and I just don't really feel her presence a whole lot.
I don't feel her presence a whole lot either, which is currently has me on a path of, because I was out of the witchcraft thing for so long. I don't know. I'm trying to find who I am again.
I don't know. Personally, I just kind of see, I call on any deity that is willing and able to help me with whatever I'm doing at the time or whatever problem I'm trying to solve at the time. And I kind of see the deity as like one big mass of divinity.
That's a whole nother question, and we'll get to that. So, before we get into that, because I know us, let's move on to the next question.
Okay, number 4. Have you always worked with the same deity? Personally,
No.
pretty much. I always had issues coming up with the patron gods and goddesses, and I've always gone back to Bast, Odin, and Thor.
I tend to go back to Bast no matter what, and while I haven't had that, personal experience that a lot of people talk about, she's what feels right to me, I guess you could say. But I don't always work with the same deity. Like I said before, I tend to work with whoever feels right for whatever spell I'm doing. So number 5, do you use any personal items in your practice? And by personal items, I think it means fluids, blood, semen, tears, urine, etc. I do not use blood because I don't want to be that closely tied into any spell. Um, blood has a power, and I don't want to give anyone that power. I don't use semen. I have used urine before in a bottle spell, but it was a very long time ago, and I tend not to use fluids because unless I am completely destroying a spell, I don't want anything that could be used against me, magically speaking.
What about tears?
No, not intentionally. There have been a couple of spells where I started crying, and it stripped onto what I was doing, but it wasn't intentional. Let me gather my tears and use it.
Me personally, I have used blood in a spell or two, but that was many, many years ago when I was first entering this path and did some dumber things. I'm not going to say that blood is a bad thing to use if that's your gig, but it is very, very powerful mojo, so be careful what you do.
Exactly. I'm not going to say anyone's wrong. I think everyone has, which Lady Gravedancer says, and, Sunshine, Morning Rain, all those, that you need to do what feels right to you, and there is no real right or wrong. As long as it's what feels right for you, that's going to be what's most powerful. For me personally, bodily fluids are not my gift.
I've never used semen, but I would assume that semen is used more in fertility stuff, and that's obviously never been an issue for me, considering I have 6 mini-me's.
That would be my problem, and I don't think Chuck's going to give up the sample for me to use in a spell.
Tears, I've never really done that, but I was raised to be kind of anti-emotional, and that's something that I still...
Oh, that is the understatement of the century.
I still have to fight against that, even in adult years, Urine, I've done the whole bottling spell, but that's kind of a last resort kind of thing, in my opinion.
Same here. Very same here.
So, yeah, there's that.
And I've never used poop of any kind, because ew.
God, no. Ew. Number 6. Do you do past life readings or have ever had one done who were you or how did you die? I've never purposely done past life readings or had one done. I've had one person many years ago tell me that I was a cat that belonged to a wizard, like way back when, which, I can see that.
Believe? Yeah, me too.
And I've come to the realization that a lot of my fears are due to past life stuff. Like, I have a fear of drowning, and I have a feeling that I was drowned and, murdered in a past life.
I have never had a past life reading done on me, nor have I, done them. But I have had vision quests, I guess it would be the apt term. I've had dreams and stuff that I just, with, I guess, my gift of knowing, I knew what it was. And I knew it was a memory, it wasn't just a dream. So I know some of my past. I was a mom in the 50s who died in a car accident. I also have irrational fears that are related to past lives and how I've died and such. And I do know that both me and Kit are very, very old souls who have been together in several lifetimes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite magical tool? That changes because I'm very mercurial. I hate that word. I'm very wishy-washy. No, that's not right either. I change my mind a lot. I'm attention deficit. Yeah, that's the one. I'm attention deficit. Ooh, shiny. Right now, my favorite thing is a pendant necklace. Well, a pendulum necklace that I have that is a beautiful amethyst necklace that has a beautiful pendulum as well. So right now, that is my gig. But it really depends on what I'm doing and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Personally, I don't really feel like I have a favorite magical tool. I've never really dealt a whole lot with magical tools. I've been more of a quick spell kitchen witch kind of thing.
Well, honey, kitchen herbs are a tool.
Granted. So,
Oh,
your
actually,
basic...
you know what? Essential oils. That is my gig.
Sure enough. I guess, your usual kitchen herbs and amethyst, because amethyst is my thing.
Amethyst is always also my thing. Amethyst is so good for so many things, and it's just the stone that resonates.
Okay, number 8. What is a song or type of music that gets you into a witchy mood? Personally, any kind of your, Native American drumming, flute kind of stuff, or trance music. Particular songs, it sounds kind of crazy, but, voodoo. Stop. Your turn while I murder my cat.
For me, it is Celtic music. I guess it's because I'm Irish in my soul. Celtic music has always spoken to me on a level, and it always makes me feel energized and magical, and gets me in that positive state of mind. I love the Celtic women. I love Marina McKinnon. I love just Celtic music in general. It's beautiful, and let's see. Let's see, where am I?
Number 9.
Yeah. I meant on the list. I was trying to find the question. Number 9. Where is the most magical place you have ever been? That's a really hard question for me to answer. Because places that feel magical to me, that would be a Renaissance fair. Because there's so many pagans who go to Renaissance fairs. Magic is high there. So for me personally, the most magical place I've ever been is a Renaissance fair because that is magic to me. I've never been to any place like, Stonehenge's or anything like that.
My answer would be probably my own property. It sounds kind of lame, I suppose, but being out away from everything and kind of live out in the country and...
I can see that. I live on a military base, so magic is null and void here.
I live out in the country and a lot of nature stuff, and so that's my witchy place.
Okay, so your land is your favorite. Okay, let's move on to question number 10.
Okay, number 10. What animal is your familiar, if any? I've pretty much always had cat familiars.
And a ferret?
Yeah.
Sandman.
Yeah. I miss Sandman.
I know you do, honey. I've also had cat familiars. I don't have one currently. The closest that comes to that is my kitten, Abby. But, no, I don't have a familiar currently. It's very sad. All our cats go to my husband, the cat whisperer. Though Abby will come bug me when I'm trying to do a spell, so she's as close as it comes, but she's only interested in hopes that I have food, so I don't think that quite qualifies. Okay, if you have a familiar, did you choose them or did they choose you? I don't have a familiar right now, but in the past they have always chosen me. I don't think you get to choose your familiars. I think it's them who chooses you.
I think familiars choose you if, well, in general, I do think that maybe it can be like a mutual thing.
Well, yeah, I think it can be a mutual thing, but I think ultimately the familiar chooses to work with you.
I agree.
Okay, so.
Okay, 12. What in the craft...
you didn't answer. You have a familiar. You have a psychotic familiar, but you have a familiar.
Well, right now I would say that Fluffy, my psychotic kitten, is my familiar. She's very much interested in anything witchy.
Yeah.
I think Willow may end up being a familiar. That was kind of a mutual bonding when I saw her in the PetSmart adoption center. So
that's how I fell in love with Abby. I knew we had to have her, even though we're not supposed to have more than 2 cats. I could not leave her there.
Well, we couldn't afford her, quite honestly, but I just couldn't leave her. So.
And I think she's kind of, Fluffy's having a hissy fit right now.
Yeah, she's singing the song of her people because I put her in timeout. So.
How dare you? Okay, now we are on to the next one.
Okay, 12. So number 12. What in the craft are you the best at, such as tarot, spells, ritual, etc.? Personally, I've always gone with candle magic if I actually physically do a spell at all.
Yeah, you tend to think things and they kind of happen, which you're really good at visualization. I'm not. So for me, it would have to be tarot or oracle, or stuff of the divinatory nature.
I will say that I'm really good with the oracle.
You are, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I'm exceptional at much of anything other than creativity. So spellcraft in general, if because I am a very crafty witch, and I mean the pun in that.
Well,
Um,
I'm kind of the same way because though I've been on the pagan path for more than half my lifetime, I have not actively practiced a whole lot over the years for various reasons.
Same here for various reasons. One of which I was a single mom for a very long time, and then I married a Christian. So you know.
And well, I mentioned that I live in the country, and I live in a very Christian small town.
In Texas.
So I've always been a little bit cautious as to what I practice, not to mention having parents that usually did not get it, and it was just easier not to practice a whole lot.
Right. We always practiced a lot when we were together, but in the course of our friendship, we have not spent that much time together. So
Well, no,
yeah,
we're both disabled in different manners, so neither one of us drives. So
neither one of us drives, and for the last several years, I've lived in a different state. We both used to live in Texas, and then I moved to Massachusetts, and now I live in Utah. Yeehaw. And Kit has always lived in Texas. And
Texas born and raised, baby.
yeah, say acorn.
Shush.
So yeah, I'd say anything to do with divinatory nature or healing is what I'm best at. Um, in the craft, would you say you're weaker at? For me, without a doubt, it is visualization. I cannot do it to save my ass.
Well, I would say my weaker point is lack of motivation or finding some kind of peace and quiet time where I can actually do spell work without interruption from my children and husband.
Yours is focus, I think, because you get easily distracted.
Yeah, I have to have quiet. And my kids
Whereas
are.
I don't have to have quiet. I can tell people to piss off, but I can't visualize what I want, which a lot of spells want you to visualize, and I'm like, fuck you, I can't. Which
Well,
is funny because I'm an artist, so you'd think that visualization would be there, but it's not.
I'm just now getting to the point where am feeling more comfortable with openly practicing, and my kids are curious, so they're constantly interrupting and asking questions, which is kind of irritating when you're trying to put your intent into something.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That is frustrating. Um, what bothers me is my husband is a huge metalhead, and I like metal just fine. But when I'm trying to do a healing spell or a peace spell, the last thing I want to hear is Cannibal Corpse.
I can see
It's
that.
not exactly peaceful for me. um, uh, Next question.
Okay, number 14. What is your most favorite part of your craft? Spell writing, divination, etc.
Well,
Um,
you'd think that would be the stuff you're best at, wouldn't it?
well, not necessarily.
Well, true. Really, Abby?
Um,
Is Mama doing witchy stuff? Are you gonna come lay with me? Come here, butthead.
I would say my favorite part of it is really nothing to do with the actual spell work or anything. It's just finding a path where I can be me. Okay, so your turn to answer, Chica.
My favorite part of my craft, personally, would be divination. Um, to me, it goes with my gifts. So It's just kind of who I am. I suck at spell writing. Like, seriously, suck at it. What was the first tool you ever purchased? For me, it was a tarot deck. It was called the Witch's Divination deck or something like that. It was a little orange card deck. And I loved it. And it was always there for me and always important and always a part of my life. So that was what I did.
Mine was also a tarot deck. It was unicorns or Pegasus. I think it was unicorns. Which is kind of odd, considering tarot doesn't work for me. The oracle works for me.
You've never found a tarot deck that works for you. I think there is one out there that will work for you. You just haven't found it yet.
Okay, number 16. What was your first homemade tool for your practice? Quite honestly, I cannot remember which I made first, whether it was the wand that I used to have or the broom.
See, I don't know. Having been raised as, with a pagan parent, it's a lot harder for me to figure that out because it's always been there for me. Always. I've always had stuff in my life and have been making stuff because I was raised, you don't have to pay a lot of money, especially when you're raised poor, which I was, when you can, make it. And it has more meaning when it's made. So I've been making stuff for a long time. I could not honestly tell you what my first was. Wrong tab. Let's see. What are your feelings on raising kids in the craft? This is going to be hard for me to answer because I personally don't agree with indoctrinating kids into any faith. I think faith doesn't matter what it is, it's very personal. And it is not something that I think anyone can decide for someone else.
I would have to agree with her. I mean, if you choose to raise your kids in the craft, that is your choice, and, do what you do.
Yeah. I mean, there are people that do, and that's fine. If that's what they feel is right, cool. But for me, I've never hid what I am from my daughter. I've never, gone into hiding or told her Christians were bad or evil. I just told her the truth as I see it, which is when she determines what is right for her, then she'll know. But I'm not the person to make that decision for her.
I've never taught my kids anything to do with the craft. I figure, if that's what they want to do, that's cool. And if they want to be a different faith, that's cool too. It's their choice. They are little people.
Well, yeah, you have kids of all sorts. I mean, you have 6 kids and you have your little atheist baby.
I have a mixed bunch, I've got...
Oh, God, does she?
I've got 2 that are self-claimed pagans, and I've got 4 that are... Well, I've got 3 that are Christian, and then I've got 1 that's currently on the fence. He,
doesn't know what the hell he is or what he wants to do.
He's been
That's
Christian.
Shane, right?
No, Richard, actually. He stopped going to church about a month ago because he started questioning the difference between what they preach and what's actually in the Bible. And
which is an understandable thing. With Kay, she's always had... See, the problem is in that you come across the fact that, both of our kids have gifts. And it is hard, I think, to teach your kids about their gifts without getting into the faith of our what we believe.
Right.
Because, I mean, Kay has had powers since she was very small, as you know. She's my little weather witch. But I think it's possible to have gifts and decide that you don't want them and kind of make yourself headblind to them. But if I want that for her? No. But it's not my decision to make.
Well, I mean that's a problem with another one of my kids, William. He's very Christian, and that's fine. But he does have gifts of seeing and
He's
communicating with spirits, and
he has seen the dead most of his life, and that's actually what pushed him into the Christian faith, is that he thought he was evil.
well, that and he thought he was insane because he would go to school and he would tell other kids about seeing the spirits and stuff, and they would pick on
Tell him that he
him,
was crazy. Yeah.
and so he buried himself in going to church to try to be a good person so he would stop seeing spirits, and that obviously didn't work. But,
And see, there's the other problem is, I'm like, it's very complicated. It really is. It's so complicated of a question.
I think what it comes down to is his personal preference. If you want to raise your kids in
Yeah.
craft, more power to you. And if you
Right.
want to give them the freedom to choose, that's cool too.
Right.
Okay, so next question. If you were a goddess or god, which would you be, or who would you be?
Ugh.
I don't even know how to answer that because I've never
I've
considered
never,
myself to be.
I could never even put myself on that level mentally.
Yeah,
So,
that's never even crossed my mind. I don't feel that I am wise and divine enough to process that question and give an answer.
I concur with you. So we will move on to the next question because, yeah. Do you use astrology in your practice, and in what ways? I do to a degree, but really probably not much. I do believe in astrology to a degree, but other things are more important to me. So,
Personally, I will pay attention to astrology a little as far as it's more like entertainment reading to me.
yeah, I mean, I do believe in astrology. I really do, but I don't fit any of the normal standards for, say, a Leo other than hard headed.
Well, I'm very much an Aries, but
Oh, yeah,
astrology
you are.
is astrology is written in such a loose basis that you really don't know what it's talking about. And so something can happen, and then, yes, you can sit there and go, oh, well, that's what that was talking about. But
Right, but there is also the fact that we do go with astrology on the, moon phases and Mercury retrograde and stuff like that. We do take that into account.
oh, I don't even want to think about Mercury retrograde. I'm still recovering from the last one.
Oh, that was so fucking awful. It really was just horrible.
Yeah, okay. We have another one coming up right around Christmas, so yay.
6 kids, no money, and fucking retrograde. Lovely. Okay, so your turn for a question.
In what ways could you practice dark magic and still respect the beliefs of Wicca?
Oy.
I don't consider myself to be Wiccan. I don't know, maybe when I first stumbled across the witchcraft thing, I was into Wicca because that's what you readily find available.
That's what you're told you're supposed to be.
But I am not Wiccan, I am pagan.
I am not Wiccan either, so I don't think I can answer that because I don't. Well, I am more Wiccan of the aspect than she is, in the whole I do very firmly believe in the do what you will, harm them shit, but I am not Wiccan. I have no problems with Wiccans. My mom is a Wiccan. It's just not what's right for me.
Personally, I have practiced the darker magic, and I don't feel guilty or bad for doing it. I think it was just a learning experience. I'm not going to recommend everyone go out and do it, but
Whereas I have never done dark magic ever. Um, I have done spells that were, I don't think they could be considered darker on the path of things, but as they say in the craft, I don't think there is such a thing as dark magic and light magic. There's how you use it.
I don't know. In reality, the only darker magic I've ever done, I was.
The revenge spells were not exactly on the lighter side of magic,
I've never
but
really done revenge spells. I mean, they are tempting on occasion, yes. But
yes, you did too do a revenge spell.
I've done. It wasn't even a revenge spell. It was like a get your lover back thing. But I was like, 20.
Sweetie, that's a revenge spell.
Yeah,
And yeah, you were 20. I mean,
I was 20, and had
okay,
just
so
had the twins. So
okay, going from where we are in life now, where would you put that?
I definitely consider it darker magic, and knowing what I do now, I probably wouldn't have done it. But
But we were young when we did spells that would not be considered light. I did a love spell, which thankfully, well, it didn't do what I wanted it to do, which will be another question later on, and I'll get more into that. But yeah, I mean, it was fucking with someone's emotions, which I personally don't go with. But again, everyone has their own thing, and I don't think, according to the Wiccan creed, that there are certain spells, if you go down that path, that you could do and honestly call yourself a Wiccan.
well, the one I did, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't even consider it a revenge spell. It was for him to feel the pain that he had caused me. So it's still not something I would do today because I'm a little bit wiser than I was back then.
Aren't we all? Son of a bitch, I keep losing the question. Do you have any witches in your family? I do. My mother is a witch. I have had witches for several generations. I have witches in my direct family. I have witches in my ancestry.
No, but your stepdad and your father, he was pagan too, I think.
Oh yeah, my dad was a witch. My brother is coming into his witchiness. My sister-in-law is a witch. She's a Christian witch, but she is a witch. My mom, my stepdad. I mean, there's a lot of witchiness in my family.
Me personally, my dad was definitely not of the witch beliefs, and we'll just leave it at that on that one.
Right.
My mom, as a teenager, was more of your darker arts kind of witch.
Mm-hmm.
And as an adult, she would be best classified as a Christian witch. My husband is a pagan. My great-grandmother and other ancestors followed more of your witchy type paths. I've got kids that are witchy.
It is, and I think it is in both of our blood, and we are related distantly. So yeah, I think it's in our blood. It really is.
Well, I've heard tales from my mom that they trace the ancestral line way back to a witch that was killed in the witch trials.
Yeah.
And of course, my only thought then was, well, at least they got one right. But
Yeah, no shit, right?
Okay, 22. What item can you not witch without? For me personally, I'm learning to witch without a lot here lately. I don't.
Lilith lost her house on a fire and lost almost all of her witchy shit.
Yeah, so I'm just now starting to rebuild things and work with what you got.
And I also lost a lot of my witchy stuff a couple of years ago when my dad died. I moved very suddenly, and a lot of my stuff I couldn't take with me. So I'm having to rebuild everything.
At least the shopping is fun.
Oh yeah. That's. I mean, we did both have a lot of stuff that we never used, and
Yeah, it's kind of like a learning experience. You don't bother to replace this book or that tool or whatever, and
right.
there's a lot
But
of
I don't
different
think there's
stuff now.
any one supply that I couldn't really live without besides basic kitchen herbs and some of my essential oils, because I do use essential oils a lot, though I can witch without them. So I'd have to say kitchen herbs, because that is one thing that I do use more than.
See, I could probably do it even without the kitchen herbs because I think it all lies in intent. That's what it comes
Oh,
down to.
I agree. But for me, because I suck at visualization, I need something that I can connect with.
Right. And we're going to pause right here